What's next doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by chance. What's next happens when experience meets expertise, when data meets dollars, and when steel meets earth. What's next happens when the promising work of Pioneer state-of-the-art research centers meets the unsparing challenges of more than 17,000 on-farm trials. Our ultimate goal is to bring the next seed breakthrough to your fields, because Pioneer isn't just our name, it's our mission. Pioneer, what's next happens here.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio.
Hello and welcome to RealAg Radio here on this Thursday, November 23rd. I am your host, Lindsay Smith, and yes, it is time for the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. But of course, before we get to that, a very happy Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving to all of our listeners in the U.S. And just a quick note, we do call it American Thanksgiving because, of course, our Thanksgiving was back in October. Canadian Thanksgiving, for the most part, very similar. Similar meals, although, and Canada, help me out here. You can tell me if I'm wrong. The whole sweet potato thing with the marshmallows on top, that is not something that happens very often at a Canadian Thanksgiving. I'm not quite sure where the marshmallows made their way into the Thanksgiving dinner. Not a fan. Just putting that out there. Okay. Anyway, on today's show, super excited to hear from the farmers we've got. We're going to start in Ontario, head over to Manitoba and Saskatchewan, and end up with Mr. Doug Moisey out of Alberta to talk about what's happening in the planning process this time of year. But we'll start in Ontario with Brendan Burney out of Essex County, and then we're going to head down to Norfolk County and talk to Dan Pecker, who happened to be, he was also at Agritechnica last week, so I'll be sure to ask him about that. It was so much fun to watch the social feeds of everyone who was over there, all the Canadians that headed over, so I'm really looking forward to hearing his thoughts about the show. And then we'll head to Manitoba and speak with Wilco Van Mile. He's out near Brandon, Manitoba, at Rapid City. Then to Saskatchewan, which, yes, this week it's Agribition, and so Jerry Hertz is going to join us, and I happen to know that he will be at the show, so I'm super excited about that. And then, yes, as I mentioned, we'll head to Alberta, talk to Doug Moisey. So, as always, if you've got feedback on today's show, you can give us a call, 1-855-776-6147, or you can zip me an email, lsmith@realagriculture.com. Your regular host also accepts email. His email is shaney@realagriculture.com, and you can find us across social media at RealAgriculture, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the YouTube channel. And if you didn't know we're on YouTube, look us up. We are there, and you can find all of our coverage from Agritechnica is on there. So head on over there as well. Okay, let's take a quick break, and I'll be back with Brendan Burney right after this.
Managing your inoculants just got easier with Lalfix Start Spherical Pulses from Lalaman Plant Care. Get increased nitrogen fixation and phosphorus availability for any pulses you grow. Its high porosity granule provides improved handling and accurate metering, so it's easy flowing and virtually dust free. It's the only inoculant you need. It's Pulse Perfect. Contact your Lalaman sales representative today.
Peter Johnson at WheatPete, RealAgriculture.com. I'm the host of The Word, and I love doing The Word. I love the questions. I love the challenges. I love having to apply agronomics to all over the globe and areas outside of my normal jurisdiction. Also, I love the feedback the most, where growers challenge me, tell me about their plot results, help me to learn. The Word, absolutely the best part of my day.
What's next for your fields? At Pioneer, delivering industry-leading genetics drives everything we do. From the scientists in the lab to our local teams with boots on the ground, we are determined to get there first. Developing top-performing products, proven in more growing conditions than ever before. Pioneer. What's next happens here. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio Channel 147. I am Lindsay Smith, and it is time for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. All right, joining me now for the Farmer Rapid Fire is Brendan Burney at Essex, Ontario. Welcome here, Brendan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. As well as could be expected, I guess. We had a bit of a winter wallop come through, and I'm kind of crabby about it, but it's neither here nor there. How are things where you are? What's going on the farm this week?
A lot of harvest has wrapped up in our area. There's still a decent amount of corn out, but I'm wrapped up. So we've had a little bit of rainy weather, but we don't get the winter wallops that you would be getting very frequently at all down my way. You
really don't, actually. I mean, do you ever?
I don't like to brag. We've had a few years where we haven't had to clear any snow in the last 5 years. So we've gotten into some pretty mild winters in our parts.
All right, we won't hold it against you. All right, so it does mean though. Okay, so
you're welcome to visit.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say in the banana belt. So then, does that mean how do you know when field work is done? Because in other areas, you let the weather decide when you're done. So how do you know when it's time to stop?
In our area, it would be that it's gotten too wet. So we will start to get some rain showers that come in around this time. And generally at that point, we get to a certain area where we say, well, it's not going to dry up enough to be able to do any more field work.
All right. So long as you actually pay attention and don't get rolling on it. There is that. Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, so then if you're pretty much wrapped up, how did the year go?
It was fairly uneventful. It was kind of like you got started and there was a decent stretch of weather. And aside from a little rain here and there, which did end up kind of delaying or stopping some wheat planting, I think most everybody in our area was fairly happy with the conditions, and the yields have been pretty good.
That's pretty good. So then, if things are that tickety-boo, what keeps you busy?
Well, there's all the additional work in and around kind of getting things cleaned up and put away, and then setting myself up for a bit of a travel schedule with GFO and some different meetings and such that will occupy some time between now and when I wrap up being chair.
Okay. So for any of you listening who don't know, Brendan, of course, is the current chair of the Grain Farmers of Ontario. How many years now is it?
You can only do 3 years as chair. You're reelected every year by the board. So come this February, there will be a new chair elected, and I will have served my 3 years as chair.
Wow, time flies. All right. And so far, I mean, you've got a little ways to go yet. So far, what has been one of the most memorable files to have worked on with GFO?
I think it's not necessarily the files, it's just the pace of things that are maybe a little unexpected that come at you. So there's been the carbon piece, there's been fertilizer, the seaway strike all of a sudden pops up. So it's just that it's fairly unpredictable. We kind of say like every chair ends up having their own incidents that they have to kind of help us through at GFO, and those were kind of some keys in my chairmanship, I guess.
The seaway strike, of course, did end. However, are we back to sort of where we would expect to be as far as movement? Because I certainly am hearing a lot of some issues, at least with finding space for corn in the elevators, those sorts of things. Will it still take time for the seaway to catch up?
Yeah, I think even when they were in the process of working through it, they were saying that it would take them a week or more once they got back to really get moving. And we've had the same bottlenecks around us. There were a couple co-ops and even ADM where they weren't able to take corn. for a few days, and they were trying to move things around. So I think it's getting back to some sort of normalcy, but there has been for sure bottlenecks in different areas that maybe wouldn't have been there had it just kind of continued seamlessly instead of having the delay and the stoppage.
Mm-hmm. Now, as you did mention, and I don't want to make this all about the GFO, of course, but
No.
you did. But you were the chair, and you brought it up, so it's loud.
Yeah.
The fertilizer tariff is still in place, is it not?
Yes. Yeah, it still is. I know many companies have been able to source from other areas and such, but it is still in place. And I know that they were kind of wanting to continue that on that coming from Russia, but I don't know if they have an actual plan for phasing that back out. But as of now, yes.
Yeah. So and I guess that is one of the questions, as you know, as a lobbying organization of working on this file on behalf of your fellow farmers. Has this been one of the more frustrating pieces of work you've tried to work on?
I think it was probably because one of the more frustrating parts at the beginning, of course, was just trying to explain that farmers that had prepaid for something were now paying a tariff while they were just waiting for delivery. Mm-hmm. And that was trying to make sure the government understood exactly how it works in agriculture, in the same way that we don't necessarily know how it works in other sectors. So you kind of had to take it right down to a farm level and have those conversations. So it was certainly frustrating, but I never shy away from trying to stand up for our membership and have those discussions. So there was a lot of time and energy put into it, and it kind of continue to make sure that our voice is heard, or at least recognize that some of these things do disrupt grain farmers, and make sure they know just how.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. All right, then now GFO doesn't have a past chair role, right? I mean, you'll be stepping away from the board chair position. Does that mean you are done entirely? You just get to be a member?
Well, you're correct that we don't have a past chair. We are elected for 2-year terms locally. So within my region, which is Essex, District 1, I am still the chair for the director for 1 more year.
Okay.
And then if I choose to, I can do 2 more years after that, and that would be my maximum 12-year term as a board member.
Jeepers. So at least 1 more year as director, but not as chair. What is the one thing you will do with the extra time once you relinquish your chair?
Well, let's just say that after the February meeting when we elect a chair, I already have a trip booked for the week after.
Good for you.
To just kind of lay low and decompress and allow the new chair to get their start under them and just kind of relax with my wife. It takes a lot of time and effort, not only personally, but also with the family and them kind of coordinating things. So this is kind of my way of saying thank you to her as well.
I think that is very smart. And certainly it is one of the things that maybe we don't talk about enough is the support required at home, at the farm, to be able to serve in some of these roles. And so I think a trip is a really great idea. So well done, Brendan.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Okay, we'll leave it there, Brendan. Thanks so much for joining me on the Farmer Rapid Fire here today. All right, we hop now down to Norfolk County to hear from Mr. Dan Picker here on the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
What were the issues in your fields this year? Did you do a soil sample? What is your soil sample telling you about some of the nutrient issues that you might be having going into next year? What herbicides did you use? What residues you might be concerned about? What weed issues did you have? What crop residues did you have? How well do you know your fields?
Get the answers to all the questions you have about your pulse crop at the Pulse School on RealAgriculture.com.
As a grower, you spend a lot of time focused on the details. And sometimes it's only after harvest that you can step back and see the bigger picture. At AGI, we spend a lot of time focused on details too, making sure you can store your grain how you need to and move it when you need to. Learn more at aggrowth.com.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
Welcome back to Real Ag Radio here on Rural Radio, Channel 147. I am your host, Lindsay Smith, and it is time for our next visit of the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And we have reached Mr. Dan Pecker on the side of the road somewhere in Norfolk County. Last week in Germany for Agritechnica. How great was it?
It was awesome and surreal and, how do I say this, kind of disappointing all in one. It was, I don't know. It was incredible.
How was it disappointing, Dan?
For people who don't know me or who do know me, they'll know why. The incredible focus on tillage that goes deeper than 6 feet.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of tillage.
There is.
A lot of tillage.
Europe likes their tillage.
And, yeah, but and there's parts of North America that love their tillage as well. But it was, that part of it was really shocking to me. The people were incredibly kind. Didn't matter where they were from. Their sprayer technology and focus on sprayers was light years ahead of what we are. But the most wonderful thing was, there's parts that Europeans look at us and they're jealous of us.
For what?
It was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what are things that they look at us and are like, ooh, I want that?
Strip till is starting to come into basically the UK, parts of Poland and the Czech Republic, and Italy. And there's a slow awakening of, like, maybe we don't need to absolutely obliterate our soil to grow a crop. They look at Canada, specifically Western Canada, of direct seeding their small grain cereals, and just they're amazed by it. And, like, that is nothing to us to do that with our wheat or our rye or our oats. And so that was basically it. Like, how do they eliminate some of this tillage past?
So now, and you, of course, you do a lot of strip tillage. I've also heard,
yes, I do.
That there's something about you and red clover that you have the Midas touch when it comes to red clover. I've been told. Yeah. So did they have just as many questions for you on strip tillage as you had for them on other things?
There were, like, depending on who you ask, most definitely. The amazing thing is when you bring up red clover, or even just we'll extend that to cover crops, all of these, like, let's say deep rippers or subsoilers for us, or European high-speed discs, like, there's 40 different ones, but they all look the same to me. But they're all mounted with, like, an APV or small cover crop seeder. So, like, in a lot of Europe, cover crops are mandated to be used. But people there were just, it was an amazing kind of, like, idea or an interaction of ideals and approaches and ideas. And where we meshed or conflicted, it was, the German beer kind of made everything smooth. And we all went away with, we're going to go home and try something. I met a guy from Bulgaria who farms something like 140,000 hectares.
Oh my gosh.
Which is 300,000 acres or so. And they are going to do, coming this September, October, like, so 2024, they're going to do a 10,000 acre direct seed winter wheat trial.
That's okay.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing, but when we talk about like trying something new, usually it's like on a small part. And I get that when you're farming that much ground.
Percentage of scale, though.
I don't know. I still feel like that's maybe too much at once. I mean, good for them, but that does feel like it's a little.
Sure.
It's a little much, but hey, why not?
Yeah.
I guess why not? Now, so where are we? We're creeping up on end of November here, and how are things on where you are? I mean, were you done everything before you went to Agritechnica? Like,
no, we were not. Okay. Like, we were done soybeans. Winter wheat was in. Corn, when we left, was still 33 to 34% moisture. So it was, while this trip with my dad and I was planned a long time ago, it worked out so that we didn't have stress to think like, oh, we're missing out on harvest. By the time we get back, corn had dropped 7%, and, we got a few days in of harvest before the rain. Most people around us are 70% done corn harvest. And,
so not that bad.
We need a few weeks.
Yeah.
So no, it's all fine.
Yeah.
It's all fine.
It's good. So on the topic of red clover, how did the red clover do this year?
Phenomenal.
Right?
Which is
I told you, everyone.
Not what I expected. So for May and June, it was so dang dry that I thought we were going to have a crop failure with the red clover. And we had a couple timely rains, and I mean, I don't know if we have a specific terroir where we live in Norfolk or not, but it seems like it just works. Yeah. And there's already guys who have bought their seed for next year, and because they know it doesn't fail here. But they have kind of adopted the approaches that we take to red clover, like on our own farm.
Yeah.
And,
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Making change happen. Now, I mean, it is true though. There is a certain level of the environment you deal with and what that makes easier or more difficult. So why not? Let's go with it. And so why not? So now, big question. So Agritechnica is only every 2 years. Would you go again?
Yeah, I would. Like, you know what? I would. My dad and I, we talked about it like halfway through our 4 days there. We were like, we totally want to go in 2 years. And then at the end of the 4 days, because we were exhausted, because it's 1 square mile of stuff.
Right.
So if you think like the Louisville Farm Show, you multiply that by like 10. Like it's monstrous.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, our exhaustion was like, we'll come back in like 3 or 4 iterations. It's just so much overload. But like now, like I've been home for, 5 days. I'm like, I want to go back.
Yeah.
And I would go very targeted now. Like for the first goer, like it's one of these bucket list items for a farmer. Like we don't have many. And this is one that's it's well worthwhile making a sacrifice for the farm business because it's only 1 week out of 1 damn year. Just go. Go check it out. It's such a glut of amazing stuff and some weird stuff and some cool stuff and some stupid stuff. It's awesome.
That's right. I will say, so the RealAg team was there. And we've got which is so cool how many people ran into each other there because, as you said, it's monstrously huge. But so lovely to see all these Canadians running into each other. But they did send some of the like, guess what this is, and sometimes I have no idea, like none whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what is that.
What is it? What is it going to do? Yeah. It looks expensive, whatever it is. So interesting stuff. Okay, so you would go again. I think that's cool. And I think you're right. It's probably
like it would be. But we saw my dad and I saw an unveiling of like a brand new hydrogen engine and powertrain.
Yeah.
Like where else do you get to see like this kind of hoopla about something? You know, you watch the curtain drop around this structure and there's a motor.
And then you're
but
cool.
Meanwhile, you look around you and there's 150 people all cheering and clapping for it because they knew it was coming.
It was cool.
It was really awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And we went to go see this New Holland combine.
Right.
That got unveiled.
Yeah.
The CR11. That's all I hear about now.
Yeah.
And we tried to go for the unveiling, but there's about, 2,000 or 3,000 people in our way. So we went 2 days later to go look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make one comment, if I may.
Of course.
If people go to Technica, dress well.
Yes.
Don't go in your hoodie. Wear a collar.
Mm-hmm.
And because everyone else, be it vendors or people attending, they all dress better than us.
Mm-hmm. It is, that is a significant difference between, say, a North American farm show and the European farm. Everyone is a little spiffed up, let's say.
Yeah, and there's beer at every vendor.
To keep everybody, friendly.
Yeah, moving. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Okay, Dan, thanks so much for joining me on the show today.
For sure, Lindsay.
Oh, goodness, what a hoot. Okay, let's head now to a quick break, and then we're going to hop over to Manitoba and hear from Wilco Van Mile right after this.
Boron is an essential micronutrient for plant growth, and without boron, your crops can't absorb the macronutrients they need for higher yields. Although borates occur naturally, boron deficiency is a common soil problem. Whether in direct soil application, through fertigation, or as a foliar spray, US Borax has the right refined product for your crops. US Borax products are specifically formulated to combine with other fertilizers, lowering your application costs. Learn more at borax.com/ag.
There's a reason we call it the Corn School. Videos on everything from planter setup, weed control, field trial results, yield strategies, and so much more. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com has the information and advice you need to help you succeed. Brought to you by Pride Seeds and BASF, Corn School episodes are available at cornschool.com, from realagriculture.com, or as a podcast from your favorite streaming service. Download the latest podcast today.
Welcome back to Real Ag Radio. I am your host on this Thursday, this Thanksgiving Thursday. This is the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, and we go now to Rapid City, Manitoba, to talk to Wilco Van Mile. How are you doing, Wilco?
Doing fantastic.
Oh, that's pretty good. Does that mean that the sun is shining and all your field work's done and it's time to sit back and relax?
Well, you know what? We've had a decent little run here. I would say I'd be a liar if all our field work was done, because we did have a pretty big cold snap there just before Halloween. So it kind of shut field work down for a little bit, and we had a bit of snow. So didn't quite get everything done we were hoping to get, but then it was kind of really nice after that. So it allowed us to get a few other things done.
So does that mean you're totally done, or is there still like a, hey, if it keeps improving or stays nice a few more days, we might get another pass of this, that, and the other thing done?
Yeah, we got cattle and grain now, and so there's never such a thing as ever being done. No, like I said, we would have liked to get a little bit more field work done, but we're good with what we've got, and we're kind of getting ready for winter here now. So things are in good shape. So you
do have cattle, and how do the cows do this year? How's that? Prices were very good for a little while there. I hear they've pulled back a bit, but how has it gone?
Yeah, no, we're happy. We're optimistic, I'd say. We were blessed in our neck of the woods. We realize that not everyone's necessarily in the same boat as far as feed supply and pasture conditions and all that stuff. But I would say for us, we were quite happy with the summer, the way things went, the way feed production went, and now how fall has gone, let's say. As far as pricing is concerned, they may have come off the tops a little bit, but I'd say we're still staring down, hopefully, what's going to be some of the best pricing we've ever seen in our careers, let's say, and that'll be a good thing. I'd say we've stuck it out through some tougher times, let's say. So hopefully we can, I would say, collect in on some good times here.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. You always hope if you stay in long enough, you might see the good stuff. So nothing wrong with that. That's for darn sure. Now we asked, we asked a few weeks ago on Real Agriculture. The poll was if people plan to keep more heifers back, fewer heifers, or the same as planned based on what prices had done for calves. And I was, I guess, pleasantly surprised that most people said they were going to stick with their plan, whatever that plan had been. Would you say that's the same for you, or did it change?
Yeah, no, I'd say we're in the same boat. I think we're going to keep going as planned, let's say. Not looking to pull back, not necessarily looking to go up, let's say. So we'd be in that same group where we're going to stick with the plan.
Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean you're happy with where you're at, or that you have sort of your plan for growth over time and you're just going to stick with those timelines?
Yeah, you know what? I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say that the reason for sticking with our plan is because we maybe are a little bit jaded. Like, again, we've got good pricing right now, but if we look at 2014, 2015 as recent history, like that was 2 years of really good pricing, and then it kind of dropped off. Mm-hmm. And so if we're going to go right now and expand a bunch of heifers at a time when the market's the highest and we only see it for another year after this, well, those heifers won't hit those peaks, and so I guess the reason to stay where we're at has more to do with maybe our jadedness, let's say. If we could see like 3, 4, 5 years of this being there, we'd probably consider expanding. However, history is a cruel teacher, I suppose, and leaves long-lasting memories, and so that's why we're going to hold tight.
I feel sometimes like there's certain sectors that don't experience the highs and lows like the cattle market or say the sheep market does. And you were bang on. Like it really hurts. And so if you've made it through there, I think it's okay to be cautious. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, again, we're cautiously optimistic is how I describe ourselves, right? Yeah. We're not pessimistic by any means. Mm-hmm. I would say I'm a realist more than I'm an optimist or a pessimist, let's say.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. All right, on the grain side, now you did say you did have good conditions and some good feed conditions as well. What do you grow for grain, and how did that go this year?
Yeah, I mostly grow a bit of cereals, canola, grow corn for feed, let's say. And so, again, we were quite happy. Canola yields were strong. Cereal yields were really strong. Corn yields were good. We had a nice combination of heat and moisture. So we're sitting on a good chunk of feed and feed that we look like we could maybe even carry over, which is maybe a bit of a change for us as well, even. So no, we were very, very happy on the production side of things.
That's good. Nothing wrong with hoarding feed, I'll be honest. Now, it's always, I love this question for mixed operations, because when you have livestock, it can be hard to get away, and you also have, the grain side of the business and the cattle side of the business. Do you have any events or conferences or meetings that you're really looking forward to that you make sure you make the time over the winter to get to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say for us, again, just being from around the Brandon area, Ag Days is obviously something we mark on our calendars. It's an awesome opportunity to connect with people. Like, everyone goes in our area, so it's a great opportunity to just connect with people that you haven't seen in a while. Get some new ideas, take in some speakers, and get some new ideas that way as well. But it's really just a great social connection. It kind of is like a kickoff to the new year. It's really when it's in January, so we kind of turn the page for last production year, and we're really focusing on the next production year, let's say, and it's an exciting time, let's say. So Ag Days is definitely one that's on our radar.
Mm-hmm. You are lucky; you're pretty close. So
yeah, we're right there. Right? Yeah. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so do you calve early in the year, or are you more of a spring or fall calving?
Yeah, mostly spring. Like we'll calve kind of mid-March, let's say, and get the bulk of our calves in March, I'd say. So, we're happy with that. Again, there's pros and cons to any time you calve, I'd say. If we're not dealing with cold, we're dealing with a little bit of wet, let's say, and so there's challenges that come along with both. So, it's worked out for us as far as how our production cycle. We tend to hold on to our calves, or have the last few years held onto them at weaning and do a bit of backgrounding and then sell them in the new year, I'd say. So it's kind of worked out for our cycle here right now. So that's what we've decided to do.
Yep. Everybody's got to figure out what works for them. Personally, though, I don't know that I want to be having any calves landing in January. So hats off to the purebred people that do it. But
I'm with you.
Yeah, I
There's
just...
where they've really lucked out with some decent weather, and I'm like, oh man, if only we were at the same time, we'd just take in these warm pockets. But they get some cold snaps as well.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. You don't know. So you have to go with, on average, what's going to work for the facilities you got, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, Wilco, thanks so much for joining me on the Farmer Rapid Fire. I really appreciate it. Have a great week, and I hope you get the last of the field work done.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Time's a ticking here. I think the calendar's going to turn over to December. I doubt we'll get anything more done in the field, but hoping for good weather for the calves and all that stuff here as we move forward. But I appreciate the time.
All right, let's hop across the border to Saskatchewan, where we catch up with Jerry Hertz in Agribition in Regina. Joining us now from, well, not from Edenwald, Saskatchewan, but from Regina, Saskatchewan, is Jerry Hertz. Jerry, you are at Agribition. How is it?
It's been very good. I spent the last 2 days at the Grain Expo, and it seems to be getting bigger every year. Obviously, 10 years ago, Agribition, they just started the Grain Expo, and there was mainly cattle people and some farmers that show up. But it seems to be I would say there's probably 200 or 300 people easily there during that show, that part of the show. So that's really neat. I'm a grain guy, so I'll focus on that a little bit. But I was just out and about here now, touring around some of the other pavilions and seeing the cattle side, because it still interests me, but it's not where my love is.
So
and it looks like it's going to be a good show.
I was going to say, it's not enough. All those fluffy cows aren't enough to lure you to get a few head?
Well, you know what it is. Cows, if you love them, they know that. And if you are not really loving, I think they know that too. I always think of my father-in-law and my brother-in-law. The father-in-law would walk into the field and the cows would just come to him. My brother-in-law would walk into the field and the same cows would just scatter. It just, it is what it is.
Yeah, maybe,
and I'm more
maybe
the
they know.
type.
Yeah, there you go. So, and you know what? That's the thing with grain. It can't really get away from you. So, it doesn't judge. Let's put it that way. Animals can be judgy. Now, how did the year go?
We were quite fortunate at Edenwald this year. And I know lots of places were quite dry, so we had quite a good year. So, and it was kind of a very small area, so very fortunate, and we had a good year and good quality. So.
That's good. And does that mean then that you're all caught up on everything you wanted to get done before the snow started to fly? Or do you still have fall field work to get done?
Well, we had an early snow around Edenwald this year. So we've had snow since about the 25th of October. And that kind of put a stop to everything. In the past, I used anhydrous, and the last couple of years have been drier, so I decided to buy some fertilizer bins and just go with straight dry, and this was the right decision. Hindsight being 2020, it was drier, and anhydrous was quite expensive this fall, so that freed up some time. And to be honest with you, what I did with it, I don't really know. We didn't finish harvest until October 9th. So we only had basically 2 weeks there, and we were mowing around. We have lots of bush, so you get the little trees that start growing, so we mow around all over our bush. And I've been doing that. And so I have Popeye as of November 1st, so we spent 2 weeks with a little granddaughter.
Well, that is pretty neat.
That I guess took more of my time than normal.
And far more interesting and fun and meaningful than field work anyway.
very, very true.
Yeah. Now, so interesting note though, how many years ago did you sort of move away from anhydrous?
Oh, this is the first year.
Oh, this is the first year. Okay.
Anhydrous down every fall, and it usually takes me 10 days.
Yeah.
And I'm a professional agrologist by trade, or was before I retired, and I always waited as long as I could before I started putting it down. And then you sort of get into all of a sudden you get a couple of days of -6 for a high and -10 at night, you're done. And you never know when that happens. So it was always a little risky. And if you start real early, well, you should be careful a little bit about maybe put an additive in your anhydrous to keep it from, keep those little bugs from starting to work on the anhydrous in the fall if the soil warms up too much because you did it too early.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, Jerry, you can say that you're retired, but I'm pretty sure you're still an agrologist forever. It doesn't really...
Yeah, but I can't... You're right, but I can't call myself a PAG because I put my PAG status on hold. And
right.
It's probably from SIA, somebody from SIA listening as we speak.
You're going to get scolded.
I got to be very careful.
Yeah, there you go. But I'm pretty sure all that knowledge doesn't just get put on a shelf as soon as you say you're retired. So there you go. We won't get you in trouble. I promise. Now, looking forward to next year, the winter season. Of course, you're at Agribition, at the Grain Expo. I can't believe it's been 10 years already. I remember the first one. But are there specific meetings over the winter that you always make sure to hit up that are part of sort of that planning season?
Like I used to go, I was on Saskanola for a while, and I always enjoyed the January crop production show. It's my 40th anniversary reunion for my class of 84 this year at Saskatchewan Ag Grads Association. So that ties in usually with the crop production week. I'm not sure if it's still called that. They have all the AGMs there for barley and flax and canola and wheat, and I enjoyed going to those. The AGMs can be a little dry, but there's always some interesting things that do pop up, and also the little sort of side stuff they have around it has always been interesting. So that's a good one to go to. Ag in Motion, love going to that. I'm a Southerner, and there should be more Southerners head up there. It's an enjoyable thing. And then I think every industry or every association puts something on. A few little, like Sask Wheat has their little clinics going on throughout the winter in various different places, and those, just keep your eyes open, and all those are helpful. It's just professional development all winter long, so you can hit the ground running in the spring and keep up with everything.
Absolutely, I agree, and you're right. It's nice. Yes, when there's the whole big week of the crop production show or whatever, but the one day or the one day workshops or seminars, or when they bring people in, it can be a really great way to chat with some neighbors, but also exactly that, keep that learning going all the time and pick up some new ideas for next year.
Yeah, well, if you're not learning, you're going the other way, and even if you don't have to use everything, but everything does kind of add to your knowledge level, and makes sometimes all of a sudden you learn 2 or 3 things, and next thing you know, you are making a change on your farm for the better. It wasn't any one particular thing that did that.
I like it. Lifelong learning. That's I encourage everybody to do it. It's really important.
You betcha.
Yeah, all right. Okay, well, I'll let you get back to Agribition. Make sure you're taking at least some of the rodeo activities, even if you're a grain guy. All right, let's take our last break of the show, brought to you here by Pioneer Seeds Canada. After this, we're going to hear from Doug Moisey out of Alberta. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit canolaschool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
I get to spend every day talking to farmers in the ag industry through RealAgriculture.com and RealAg Radio. But nothing is more fun than speaking to an audience live and in person. If you're planning an ag event, Book a Real Agriculture speaker to make it a successful and memorable experience. Email shaney@realagriculture.com and you can book myself or any other RealAg personality to speak at your event. Bring your audience all the fun, insight, and energy of Real Agriculture.
Welcome back to Real Ag Radio. I am your host, Lindsay Smith, and of course, today's show brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. For more than 90 years, Pioneer has developed and tested products to meet your local challenges. With new Optimum Glycanola, Enlist D3 soybeans, to performing corn products and industry-leading traits and technologies to maximize yield potential, Pioneer's on-the-ground teams can help you get the right products for your fields. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more. And with us today, we've got on the line Doug Moisey, driving from Saskatchewan to Alberta. Welcome here, Doug.
Yeah, we just wrapped up a couple of days of meetings in Saskatoon, and actually, for the first time in many years, I'm actually enjoying the fact that I'm not fighting icy roads, winter snowstorms, and bloody cold weather. It's actually quite nice out there.
Oh, well, you lucked out.
Yeah, it's nice. I think the geese that I'm seeing in the fields here, that they're going to get caught here pretty soon, and they better get their butts together here.
Yeah,
so get going south.
I think just about all the chicken farmers would appreciate that too, what with the risk of avian influenza. Yeah. So if they could move along, we'd all be a lot happier. So there you go. All right, well, Doug.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it is. We are well into November now. What does this time of year sort of mean for you as an agronomist with Pioneer Seeds Canada?
Well, right now we're kind of wrapping up is that, like our reps are out finalizing seed sales, etc. We're actually just finishing up advancement of what hybrids we're potentially bringing forward next year, training, like, research plans for next year. So quite busy. And then with our customers, we're getting questions about how to go to that next level, whether it's do I need to manage my fertility? Do I need to change some seeding rates? What's the disease? And just going through some potential thought processes for next year to maximize yield and minimize cost kind of thing. Not saving money to lose money, but watching where we spend our dollars. So there's some of that discussion going on as well right now.
When it comes to talking about, if we start with on the hybrids discussion of, what gets brought forward, that sort of stuff, is it a very complicated sort of meeting of the minds on that? How do you use data to sort of push those decisions?
Well, it's not. It is complicated, but what it is, it's looking at the characteristics. It's looking at yield data. It's looking at what does it bring to the table. And, one of the things as an agronomist is that if it's not bringing anything special or it doesn't do something, creates, when we talk about economics, yield is always king, but are there other attributes that may make, harvest easier, little things like that. There's a lot that goes into it. We have a really good research group of scientists and a product development lead that they do a lot of background work, and then as agronomists within the Pioneer system, we verify at our product knowledge plots that our reps are putting together where we see the field scale experimentals in action, and that's where we make decisions and look at things. So it's an interesting time. It's exciting. It creates excitement, and then you look at what our research team brings forward and what they're looking at for next year for experimentation, and then kind of go, okay, that's cool. We need to look at this. Again, it's all about sustainability. It's about bringing that next level of, whatever it is, whether it's economic investment through yields or is it harvest, traits that can actually enhance our customers' lives, per se, if you want to use that terminology.
And
so it makes it cool.
Yeah, has harvest management really sort of jumped up the list of priorities?
Well, it still always has been part of the priorities. Yield is still king, but we have some of our bigger customers that harvestability, and the fact is that if they can pick up a half mile an hour based upon the number of acres they're seeding, that means a lot of time not spent in a field, but getting the job done. And then, when you start looking, one of our customers there, the acres that he's farming, a mile an hour makes a big difference to him on his combine. So it's finding that right combination of both yield and harvestability, and those characteristics those are some of the things that people look for. They're also looking for what's new in clippert resistance, what's new in disease resistance. They're just looking at all kinds of different things, again, to help manage their farms better, to help create a better, we want to call it just an economic situation for them.
When it comes down to sort of hammering out some of those decisions on exactly that, on hitting that next level of production, on watching your costs for sure, but wanting to really push things, what does the fertility discussion look like this year?
Well, for me, the fertility discussion is that we've got some very dry, no snow places. If I can use that terminology, there's no snow out there. The ground is dry. It's not frozen. We have heard from some of our customers, they've produced yields that they haven't produced in a few years. Part of it was because early June, the roots went deeper into the profile in search of moisture, and then when we did get rains, there was a lot of unused fertility we haven't used in the last couple of years that we were able to access because the roots were down 24, 25 inches in some fields, depending upon the soil type. So from the fertility end of it, my concern going into next year is what is there? And, and then again, too, with it being so dry, yes, the soils are colder, but putting fertility down, we have to be very cognizant of can our soil hold on to it, especially if we get some good snows this winter. And who knows what we're going to get for moisture, but I personally, from my end of it, what I've been saying to a lot of our customers is that you're going to have to really bear down on your soil test this year, and it probably wouldn't hurt to do minimum 0 to 12, but even go as deep as 24 if you really want to get a good idea of what's happening on your land.
Well, and doing that, second set, that 12 to 24, is that something that you often suggest, or is it in situations like this where you really push for it?
Well, I push for it for the fact that it is dry, and we don't know what Mother Nature is going to throw at us this winter. Will we get some snow? Will we get some early springtime rains? I can't predict the future, but I need to know if I'm going to make some right economic decisions about what I need to be putting down. I need to know what I have. And so to me is that if I've got, let's say, excess sulfur, fantastic. But if I'm going to know what my sulfur levels is, I need to be down to 24 inches, especially on my lighter land. Sulfur and nitrogen being very mobile in the soil, we have to look at the fact that is it going to be there next spring? Phosphate and potash, where are we at? Like the last couple of years, a lot of guys have been restricting their potash applications, and potash is still an essential nutrient for canola. Very dangerous with the seed, but we do need it. And, we're seeing in some discussions I've had with a few of our customers and agronomists, or not agronomists, but reps that do soil sampling for their customers, the phosphate levels are down. And phosphate is an essential nutrient for vascular health, for uptake of nutrients, standability, and it applies to all crops. So we really need to get a handle on what's really going on in our soil profile, and this is the time to do it. Again, ideally springtime, but I think most of the soil sampling is wrapped up, but if you haven't soil sampled, I really think it has to be a priority this spring here to get that done, just to make sure that we're maximizing nutrients versus, yield, and we're actually taking advantage of the hybrid genetics that are out there.
And those genetics get better every year. All right, Doug, we'll leave it there for now. Safe travels back to Alberta.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you so much for making time for us today on the show. All right, that does it for me here on this Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving, of course, to all our American listeners and to everyone in Canada. Hey, it's just a regular Thursday. I'll be back with the RealAg Issues panel tomorrow. Kelvin Hepner, Sean Haney will also be on, and I think Stuart Person with MMP as well. As always, send us your feedback, 1-855-776-6147. And until tomorrow, cheers, everybody.